Sir, we are live, sir.
Yes, madam, we can start.
Yes, okay, sir. Himani, over to you.
Amol, sir, are you there? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we are starting, sir. Yes.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, Himani.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. A very good afternoon to all the interactors, honorable guests, and my respected teachers. On behalf of KLE Society's KLE College of Law, Navi Mumbai, I, Himani Chaurasia, welcomes you all. I will be hosting today's session along with Professor Kalyani Abhyankar ma'am, who will be moderating the event. Our guest speaker of the session, Mr. Amol Gujar sir, has joined us. We welcome you, sir. Today, Sir will be enlightening us on the topic working of in-house counsel. Now, I request our principal sir to kindly address the guest speaker and the audience. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Himani. At the outset, let me welcome my dearest friend Amol Gujar. Sir, a very warm welcome on behalf of KLE Society's KLE College of Law, Navi Mumbai. And we are happy that despite of our busy schedule of yours, you have given a time that too, I mean, train our students so that they would learn something. And today's topic is also very contemporary, that is in-house counsel intricacies. Definitely, there is an experience which is involved to speak about this topic, and we thought that you are the right and apt person to deal with this issue. Having said that, I also welcome all the participants, all the teachers, KLE management, Dr. Prabhakar Koreji, who is the chairman of KLE Society, Shri Mahantesh Kaudgimat sir, Chief Whip Government of Karnataka, and MLC Government of Karnataka, Dr. Mallikarjunaya, and all the teachers of KLE College of Law. Having said that, without wasting much of our time, before just handing this session to Kalyani Madam, I would like to say that Amol was very studious during LLB days in Ferguson Law College, and we have shared a very common and fond memories because we were living in hostel together. So those were the best days, I think, and I suppose, I mean, students' life is always very good. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Looking forward to meet you sometimes in Pune. Yes. Over to you, Kalyani ma'am.
Now I would like to take an opportunity to welcome Amol Gujar sir. Amol Gujar sir has a corporate legal experience of extensive 12 years. He has enabled business in the fields of outsourcing, chemicals and agribusiness, robotics, automation and engineering, information technology and e-commerce. Sir has also handled end-to-end contracting for the organization, dealt with and ensured legal compliances at the contractual levels. Sir has also managed various kinds of complex litigations ranging from civil, consumer class actions, customs to criminal quasi matters. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Over to you, sir.
First of all, thank you, Gujar sir, ma'am, all the distinguished guests on the panel here. I'm really, happy that I could join this session. And, I hope it is of some help to your students and your organization as a whole. So, as a starting point, I would just like to say that, if at any time one wants to, pitch in, please do so, because I want this session to be an interactive session rather than just a one. So whenever, if you want to pitch in, if there's something that you want to ask, or otherwise, start with this question: what do the students today know of the role of in-house counsel and its intricacies? So if anyone wants to know about it, and then we can just shoot off with our session. So any of the students wants to, share what their knowledge is about the field, how it operates, what if they have anyone who's worked in this field, what is the expectation that they currently have from this course. So before we start off, I would really, take a minute to listen from the students if at all they have any observation. So if anyone wants to go ahead, then let's devote a minute for that. No one?
Sir, I think the question answer session will be at the end of your lecture. So we'll be taking up the questions.
That's fine. So I just wanted to know beforehand, if, what are the things that students know about it, no problem. So we'll just start off. Uh, Let me explain. First of all, well, my experience in this field is about 13, 12, 13 years now. I started with legal process outsourcing background. Then I went to legal outsourcing. From there to chemicals and agribusiness. From there to robotics. From there to other fields uh, such as again infotech, and then infotech for nearly 10 years. So it's been very experience, and all this time uh, I've experienced some issues, some things which I wanted to share with students here, which could be of use going ahead and deciding if this path is applicable to you at all, and if it's an exciting path at all. So let's start off with a small presentation. So I'll just I hope everyone see this slide. So it talks about the exact role of a corporate counsel. Over the years, the exact role of in-house attorney has become multifaceted. From a lawyer justifying the post for legality in a corporation, it has moved many times. Today, in-house attorney, invisible force within the major corporation, and on many occasions can be seen on boards of various multi-million and billion-dollar corporations. So if you see uh, board of any major corporation, if you see board of Oracle for that matter, board of Microsoft, board of Cognizant, you would always have someone named general counsel on the board of the corporation. That is for the fact that the corporation wants to maintain its risk assessment, its risk calculation, it's basically compliance with all the laws, and that's why on any board you always see an attorney there. It could be in the face of a compliance officer, it could be in face of an ethics officer, or it could be a general counsel altogether. So this is the trend nowadays. Gone are the days. If you kind of remember the days, maybe 20, 30 years back when a counsel was just occupying a position in a company for the sake of it. You would just merely be legality. But today the position has changed totally. Uh, his role now, his or her now is totally strategic. It's one of the most important components in the engine room of an organization. And going ahead, we'll see how it operates. So we'll go on to the next slide. So this deals with what exactly a counsel does. So currently, one of the most important rules laid by in-house legal counsel is he or she acts as a bridge between management and the overall organization. By bridge, I mean it's any kind of communication. So you're acting as a filter for the organization where any kind of legality would pass through you, any kind of bad news would pass through you. So you're basically a harbinger for the bad news in a good way, where you'll try to reduce the risk for the organization, and by minimizing the risk, you'll try to carry forward the business. In-house counsel delivers cost savings on various issues of legality, which otherwise help from outside law firms or lawyers. This is if an organization of the size of 200 to 300 crores try to spend money outside counsels, law firms, the bills would be astronomical. It could be crores and crores of rupees for a year. So this is how in-house counsel delivers cost saving for the organization, uh, where you're paying a person who is your in-house lawyer. So he deals with any kind of legality, any kind of complex issues in terms of law which are going to come in to your organization. And uh, so the next one is in-house counsel is the mass guardian of the organization on most occasions than not. So basically, uh, it's it's uh, it's a job where you'll always be dealing with complexity, onerous situation, problematic situation. So you have to be always on your toes. It's it's not like you just go to your job 9 p.m. and leave the job at 6 p.m. It's never going to be like that. It's always days fraught with issues that come, and mostly you don't even know how to deal of it, and you need to dig out what the exact issue is, investigate, uh, analyze the issue, brief the management of what the issue is, and now what uh, is the measure that you're going to take to reduce risk. So the role can also be defined as a risk assessment and management partner. So as I said, it's not a lawyer solely where it's a role where basically you're acting as a filter for risk. You're basically cleaning out the risk in any issues, putting it in front of the table of the management, saying that these are the risks, these are the solutions, that how we can mitigate that risk. So basically, the job is multifaceted in that way. In-house counsel is a major stakeholder in overall strategy of a business and for acceleration of forward momentum. So what I mean by that is any kind of strategy. So supposedly if you want to expand in a geography tomorrow, it could apply onshore as well as offshore. If you want to expand in a state of India where the laws could be slightly different, the rules framed could be slightly different, or you want to expand internationally in a different geography. Supposedly if you want to expand your business in North America, a state like you know Colombia or some other state, Brazil, Argentina, where the laws could be completely different. So by analyzing perspective in that business situation, you're part of the strategy whether to venture into that geography or not in the first place. So any kind of decision cannot, be you cannot be left out in this kind of decisions. You're always part of the strategy. Basically, you're trying the strategy and business momentum forward. So whenever there's a strategy to accelerate business, first thing they would come to legal is saying that, sir, can we do this? Is this feasible? Is there an amount of legal risk here? Can we do it without, contravening any laws? So this, this helps the organization to comply with most of the laws for a particular geography. So any kind of new ventures need to be taken to the legal counsel or basically the legal team that is in the organization. So in terms of legality, what does exactly a counsel do in terms of legality? Uh, it's not that easy to divide what exactly the work of a legal counsel is or in-house legal counsel is. But if you want to divide this, if you want to divide in a particular fashion or a particular way, we could do it by saying that there are contracts that we review end-to-end of contract, which means drafting, review, negotiation of contract, which is end-to-end, right from printing that contract to getting the signature of the management to sending it across. It's all within your domain. So you have to do that. There could be complex negotiations. There could be negotiations which would go on months and months. And just these kind of negotiations, are very long and frustrating and tiring because it's not easy to negotiate master services agreement. It could have multifaceted issues, and it could be tiresome. It could land you in the problems where parties don't agree to certain clauses, and whereby they are stuck on certain issues where you need intervention from, or you need approach to be taken from management. And it's not mostly about legality. The contracts get stuck because business is involved. There are issues of business which just two parties don't seem to agree to. So there could be teaming agreements where you're trying to team up with some other company to offer solutions to solutions in the market. There could be manufacturing agreements where you're trying to get something manufactured from NDAs that protect confidentiality. There could be purchase orders. There could be requests for proposals, and many other kinds of agreements where you need to do everything from scratch, right from drafting them to negotiating them and to taking them to closure. So that's about contracts. Litigation management. So this would contracts would be part of in a services company contracts. If you're leading towards a services company, especially an IT services company, contracts is a lucrative opportunity where there could be a lot of posts available for contracting because they kind of enter into fast contracting whereby a lot of contracts are entered with various partners across geographies. So contract is one of the major portions of in-house counsel's job in a services company. And if we move towards litigation, so if you're in a manufacturing company, uh, litigation and contract weigh equally. Litigation management would be crucial. So, as far as my part is concerned, I have litigated on various issues, or rather supported litigation on various issues, right from customs issues to IP issues, normal uh, IPT issues to Insecticides Act and various things. Uh, it's a fun ride when you're dealing with litigation because there's a lot of travel involved. There's really a lot of big law, as you call them, big law firms, big attorneys, solo practitioners. You get to meet them. So it's a it's a fun job doing litigation, but it's also very tricky where you need to manage the forward momentum of a case. There could be situations where you need to decide whether you need to, in a criminal matter for that matter, you would need to decide whether to ask for a warrant, whether to push your attorney to, issuance of a warrant. So I remember a case in Mumbai where there was a property illegally occupied by the property belonged to the company, and the lawyer wasn't willing uh, to press for a warrant, and we as internal team decided that we had to push for it. So even when there are things that the your law outside counsel does not agree to, you may need to push them. That's your role, where you are thinking larger role of the organization rather than the current situation of the litigation. So, in larger interest of the organization, in the overall safety of the organization, in risk compliance, we decided to take that position where we pressed for the warrant and we got the warrant. So. It's more of there could be an outside counsel, but as an internal legal team, you're more into investigations other than the outside counsel, if it is permissible under law. So what I mean, we cannot push outside counsel to do something which is not within the bounds of law, but anything that which is within the bounds of law, we need to push our counsel for that. So we do that. It's not just we support litigation from documentary perspective. It could be actively drafting your statement, your defense. Every kind of document which comes from your outside counsel is thoroughly checked and changed, and it's heavily verified. So basically, except for the part of appearing in front of the judge, everything, each and everything that you can envisage with litigation is done by internal. Uh, Secondly, thirdly, ethics and compliance. Now, this is one of the new domains which has shaped up in in-house counsel's profile. It's a very interesting profile where you have issues such as ethics. I'm sure you have heard about acts such as FCPA and UK Bribery Act, where there are certain compliances. So you cannot bribe individuals, you cannot bribe corporations, you cannot bribe governments. All these issues fall within ethics and compliance issues. And so basically, these are taken in a multi-million dollar foreign corporations. These issues are taken very seriously. That's a new practice, emerging practice area where, uh, if you remember, GDPR came into being in May 2018. So that's related to privacy. That's an upcoming area. Uh, So basically, all these areas, privacy, ethics, and the general compliance of factories that in a manufacturing company, it could be factories that compliance in a services company. It could be some other compliances, your daily compliances that are required as per various acts are concerned, your Maternity Act, various provident fund acts. So all that is managed by in-house department. Uh, and that falls within the category of ethics and compliance. Now, the new rule, as far as in-house counsel are concerned, is privacy, where there's, as you know, India is also under, it's the legislature right now, the acts. I think they have not been passed yet, but they are kind of undergoing changes. So our privacy act is going to come into place soon. We have CCPA, California Privacy Act right now. We have GDPR, and we have various other acts. Now, I guess the UK is going to have a Privacy Act. So basically, anything related to personally sensitive information, or any kind of information where you can identify an individual, that will That will be a major issue going forward in each and every geography, and that's why there's a new rule which is coming into being, privacy council. So in many corporations, you'll see in-house councils also called privacy council. So the exclusively deals with issues of privacy and compliance with privacy laws across the globe or wherever it's the geography that they are assigned. So it's one of the most important and lucrative fields which is going to come up now, or rather it has already come up, ethics and compliance. The privacy is the field going forward. If anybody intends to, look into this role seriously, uh, this is one of the fields which is really going to emerge. With that, we move on to the next one. Okay, so the next one is IP related issues. So if you're like I work in a robotics company, uh, I had mentioned somebody suing us for patent infringement, somebody suing us for copyright infringement, and throughout it could be US, it could be India, it could be any other geography. So these kind of issues you need to defend them, much like litigation. You need to liaise with law foreign as well as domestic, and you need to then go to solo practitioners as well. And these issues could tend to be a bit complex since there's a lot of engineers involved here. So obviously, as a lawyer, you would also be challenged to move the engineer of how things work rather than just be a parrot for law. So in those cases, it's very important that you know how IP, what IP that we are fighting for, what is the gain that we are going to obtain by fighting these cases, and sometimes even you have to decide it's not worth it. So supposedly, if there's a claim that no inventive step involved, which is one of the steps for patent being granted, you could uh, you'll have to tell your internal developer boss this is not happening. There's no inventive step. There's a lot of precedent here, and of course you have from IP law firms for this. So uh, there are a lot of multifaceted domain here. IP, what you do in in-house counseling, but it is also one of the most important parts. Which, if you're lucky, if you're in a company which has which has a lot of inventive momentum as such, which is like state of the art in the field of engineering or hardware or something like that. IP could be really one of the important issues that you could be dealing with as an in-house counsel. Then come mergers and acquisitions. Uh, lot of there's a lot of legal work before a merger, and I know that you guys may know some of it, and there's a lot of work after the merger as well. So before closing and after closing, yeah, sometimes the task is so huge that your organization or your corporation is going to occupy or acquire a firm, and you're trying to decide whether it's legally okay to do so, stating it in layman's terms. So what would that involve? That involves contractual due diligence, litigation due diligence, financial due diligence, and any kind of due diligence that your land acquisition due diligence, is whatever is required for risk compliance measures that you need to take, you need to do it. And legal is thoroughly involved. It could be a different team of in-house counsels here. It could be a team involving company secretaries as well as lawyers, but that's what these teams do. They evaluate risk before a merger, where they check for financials, check for legality, check contractual abnormalities, check litigation abnormalities, check the owner's contracting provision, owner's litigation that's upon the organization, check the debts and balances or assets and liabilities of the company, and this all is done through uh, in combination with legal as well as public secretarial department. So that's also an area which is prominent right now. The in-house mostly work with law firms in this area of mergers and acquisitions, and it is one of the most lucrative domains along with IP and privacy and compliance. This is one of the most lucrative domains which is emerging in the area of in-house. Uh, and basically, your corporate communication, uh, any kind of corporate communication will go through your legal. So if you're if you're announcing a new uh, division, or if you're being announcing a new strategy whereby new product is being introduced in the market, there is certain amount of due diligence whether the geography allows those products to be sold, or whether the product is infringing or similar to any other product in the market, whether proper testing of that product has been done, whether are there any claims pending with that compounder, uh, could there be any claims against such a product? Because there's not frequent litigation on the card nowadays. So all these factors go in before any kind of product, any kind of forward momentum in that companies nowadays. So legal plays an intricate role there, where they assess risk and communicate. So basically, all this kind of communication, whether it be to stock exchanges, whether it be to general public in newspapers, whether it be to any other company to company level communication, all that is taken through your legal department, in-house legal, where only once okayed by legal team, that communication goes forward. Uh, Again, risk management in every aspect we have talked about it. Risk management is a very, very important part of any kind of decision the company takes. Even nowadays, if you are going to hire high management personnel, risk management involves vetting the contracts of that personnel. If you're hiring a CFO or a CEO tomorrow, and risk management would even entail checking contracts of that person with the early organization. So it goes to that level where every kind of risk is evaluated. There are separate departments called as risk management departments, which are part of the in-house team, legal risk management team, and there could be other business risk management teams as well. So we have to work in tandem with all kinds of departments. It could be finance, it could be sales, it could be HR. So this kind of management is done if at all something is found out from hiring perspective or anything a market perspective. That risk is evaluated with legal, and then legal further guides towards to the management if that risk is worth entering the market with. So that's like one of the important areas. And basically, any other issues of legality which an organization faces, uh, in-house legal team would need to vet it thoroughly, and only once okayed by the in-house legal team would that risk be taken ahead, and the product would be launched or domain would be entered into, or any kind of forward momentum the company would occur. Uh, Now we'll talk about the challenges. Uh, it's a tough role. I say tough role because uh, it could be you know the day. It could be a day when some wall has fallen and somebody has died. It could be a day when your product has failed and somebody's crop has burnt out. It could be a day when your warrant has been issued against your managing director. Or it could be anything. So it's a tough counsel. It's never a normal day house in life of a in-house counsel where you're coming in normally and doing your job, because at every juncture there is something or the other which you do not know about. It's not like you get into something. Uh, just a moment. Yeah, sorry for that. So it could be any situation where things are not going normally. So like there was a situation where once we have received a notice for a chemical company, and just because of that notice we had to stop production of certain product. So it's never a normal job. It could be somebody has died somewhere in an accident from your company's vehicle. Uh, Somebody could have been arrested in the field. There could be a warrant issued against someone, and we need to stop those warrants. So we need to defend someone. We need to quickly find a lawyer and jurisdiction to kind of quickly manage that situation. So it could be any number of situation, and there is a lot of pressure. So it's a tough road. It's not as simple as just going to your work and logging in and logging off in the evening. So that could be the case in a high pressure role of house counsel. It's a consultative role with lot more emphasis on documentation. So basically, when we take decision, if there's a situation, so supposedly today you have received a notice from government. So supposedly on Twitter, you have received a notice from government to, banning certain accounts, and you're defending the situation. So basically, I as a legal counsel would not have the authority. I would need to brief my management about what the issue is, and what the legalities are, what the pros and cons of the situation are, and then it would be a consensus decision with the management, where you are an active part of the decision as well. You have weighed the pros and cons of the decision, and you have come to a conclusion. So obviously, it is the board, the management, in-house counsels as a part of the board take that decision. So it's a it's a consensus job where you would always need to find consensus because nobody wants the risk to be shifted to themselves. Neither does the in-house counsel wants the risk to be shifted to himself. Neither does the management. So it's a role where if it's a board of 10 people or it's a board of 6 people, everybody needs to be on board for a decision to be taken. So that's why consensus building is also an important part of in-house counsel's role. Uh, Dealing with authority and power and managing the balance. This is perhaps uh, the part of the people skills that in-house counsel needs to develop, where you need to balance with authority. So there could be times when high authority figure in the organization or a person who carries a lot of weight in the organization is not acting according to the benefits of the organization or the overall interest of the organization. And at that point in time, as an in-house counsel, you would need to manage that situation. It could perhaps mean dealing with that person in a different way, and making him understand the legality, making him fall into the line. It could be a number of situations. So it's a delicate situation where you're dealing with your own internal client, and you need to manage that situation in a way that it does not harm the interest of your company. Yeah, and another thing is that if it depends on what kind of organization you're in. So if you're an organization which doesn't respect legality, you would mostly be discounted. You'll say, okay, legal are just paperweight, and they are not to be considered. If you're in such an organization, it would not benefit you to work in such organization. And it could be the other case totally where everybody is scared of being anywhere close to legal, and it's basically a lonely role where nobody is friends with you because end of the day you're going to block everybody's path because of some legality, and it's going to be an issue. So because of that, it's a difficult role where you cannot, even if you're best of friends with an person in the organization, sometimes what is legally not feasible, that is something you simply cannot do no matter who it is that you're facing. So this is perhaps a bit of a comic situation where you're only remembered during the bad times, and the good times normally come only to sale the finance to somebody else, and the law is only to be summoned at the bad time. So that is even if it seems comical, it is true. Mostly we are remembered during the bad times, and those are the times that we are there for the organization. Escalations matter, and time is often present. So I'll just have a bit of water. One second. Yeah. So basically, escalations could be downstream as well as upstream. Downstream escalations could mean coming from sales or anybody within the organization who needs to reach to you, and upstream escalations could mean your escalation to the management. So perhaps this is one of the most important traits of an in-house counsel, how you handle escalations, uh, because much like in courts where you ask for dates, here there would be no date. If something needs to be escalated today, it needs to be escalated at the 11th hour. So if you need to wake up your managing director at 11:59, in the night, you need to do that. Or 2 o'clock in the night, perhaps 3 o'clock in the night, you need to do that. There are some issues which are so important that we need to rush at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock to the offices and get that sorted. So certain situations like that occur when there are mergers, acquisitions, when there are certain criminal issues, when there are litigations at large. So this kind of pattern, your role as a in-house counsel is judged with how you handle escalations, downstream as well as upstream. It is an art to handle escalations. It is art to convince your management how to handle them, to evaluate the pros and cons, help your organization in dealing with escalations. But all in all, it is long and short of it is escalation. Other thing, end of the day, judgment, how you handle things in an escalated manner, in a time-bound, time constraint, and pressure situation. So uh, it's perhaps the most important thing. Uh, Yes, as I said, it's always compressed time frame and the pressure situation. You would not, perhaps there's a contract which needs to go tonight. It could be a 40, 45 pager contract, and somebody wants you to vet it in a day or two, which is simply a very compressed time frame. There could be an issue of legality, a criminal issue that you need to deal with, and it needs to happen very quickly. You need to find a good lawyer, criminal lawyer in that jurisdiction, whichever part of India, whichever part of the world it is, and then you need to manage that issue. So perhaps you're always short on time. This is one of the jobs in the world where that luxury of time is never on your side. It's always compressed time frame, always a pressure situation 9 out of 10 times, and you have to manage it. So that's one of the challenging aspects. Uh, this, along with escalation, the second point, you need to think as a business person, legality alone would not get the job done. And the point, people skills are more important than the knowledge of law. So basically, yeah, you need to think as a person. You could be one of the most talented legal uh, persons ever, but if you're not going to have people skills to manage people, to get things done in the lower and upper departments of your organization, perhaps you're going to fail at the job. Uh, it's vitally important. Basically, your success in the organization and in-house counsel hinges on the fact that how do you manage people, how do you get things done, and how do you manage legality with business perspectives? Supposedly something which cannot, if you just harp on law, saying that, boss, sorry, this cannot be done, this is not legal, or this has a legal risk, certain element of legal risk, you will perhaps never be able to carry out business. So it's always a mixture of 50-50 of your business as well as some amount of legal risk that you need to take. Uh, if in case in order to carry business in certain jurisdictions, there will be an amount of risk that you will have to take. So business is not with risk. There's a certain amount of business risk that you need to take, and that is why my legal departments are there to evaluate that risk and to understand what is the reasonable level of risk that you can take and still carry out business. If it crosses beyond the reasonable level of risk, you need to sound off, you need to escalate it, red flag it to the management, saying that the risks are crossing the benefits now, and we need to see how to handle that particular risk. Uh, so this these 2 points along with escalation is perhaps the most important aspect faced by in-house counsel in getting that thing done in day-to-day or business as usual environment. Managing cultural expectations. Uh, this is more applicable perhaps in a scenario where you're dealing with a multinational corporation. For that matter, where I used to work earlier, we have to deal with attorneys or business people who are in other geographies. So I have mostly dealt with geographies such as UK, Europe, Australia, and US. So it's basically managing cultural expectations at every level. The way you say a thing to your colleague in India would not be the way what would you say to a colleague in the US or perhaps a business partner in the US. Uh, your communication skills are very important in this domain where they understand what exactly you're trying to say. So when you're working in a multinational environment, you should understand what the culture of the basically first of all the organization is. Secondly, what is the culture of the person you're talking to? So if it's an Australian person, there would be certain things that you wouldn't say. If it's an American person, there would be certain lines that you would cross while talking. So basically, this is important part where you know where to talk, how to talk about it, how to get those things done out of people. So uh, this is an important part, more so when you're dealing with cross-cultural colleagues and all, basically. So anything under the sun that you can find, there are a number of challenges. It's simply not possible to list them all out here. Uh, but yeah, I can manage to find whatever I could think. Uh, Now, what are the opportunities? Okay, so if you're a person who sees crisis as an opportunity, this is a job for you. Because a legal counsel, in-house counsel is always a man for the crisis. People will only come to you in crisis. They'll not come to you in good situation. So if you're a man thrives on crisis, you try to get things done out of crisis. This is the job for you. You're always shadow management for a corporation. Uh, by shadow management, I mean a decision, any decision for that matter, as I explained, entering into a new geography or launching a new product or any decision for that matter, does not, it cannot bypass legal in any way of manner. So basically, either there be a representative of legal on the management board, or you yourself make your inputs to the corporation to how to handle that particular situation, or whether to enter that particular market, or whatever it is that management is trying to achieve. So you always shadow management, if not the management, you're always there in the background, lurking in the background, taking important decisions. So you're always, in the thick of the things, like you know who the CFO is, you know who the managing director is, you know who's for the organization, you know who the people officer is, and don't they know you? They come to you for decisions. So it's like you're in a management role, either in flesh or in. So it's always there. You need to be in sync with your management for all issues, and reliance will be placed on your opinion. When I say reliance will be placed on your opinion, it is very important. Your opinion will be valued, and it will be of consequence here. Where a certain decision, if you flag off a certain part where you say that certain thing cannot be done, it will have value. It will be perhaps an opinion will be taken from outside about it, but it will carry value. So if you say certain thing cannot be done, mostly it will not be done. 90% of the time they'll value your opinion, and they'll always come to you for such things. Uh, yes, you can avoid risk and make name for yourself. So whenever there are situations where you have red flagged a particular type of thing to be done. So if uh, if there was some fund to be launched in the market, and you came to know that right now the government is not keen on that, there are contraventions on a particular area in the compound, or there could be, and if you're offering it's kind of if you're offering a nuclear kind of software to someone, perhaps there could be restriction in countries for that. So when you kind of highlight something, when you point out the risk in a contract, when you point out something that should not be done, it benefits the organization and can be seen from the management. You'll always make a name for yourself in the organization. Uh, so that's an important part where you can always see who's for the organization. As you climb the ladder, you'll be better overall, including payoff. So this is one of the emerging professions which will pay you a good number if you're in Mumbai, if you're in the metros, if you're in Mumbai, Bangalore, Pune, Hyderabad. If you're in the metros, you can earn a good amount of living of this profession. Uh, you learn management skills and to be calm in tough situations. So as I said, pressure is an important part of job. How you handle difficult situations is an important part of the job, and you'll be judged on this scenario rather than how you know or what you know of legal. We'll go on to the next one in opportunities. So yes, this could be one of the things is a byproduct of your work as an outside counsel. So you get to travel. I have perhaps traveled most of India for my work, and I've traveled once to US where I could see the entire west coast of US. So there are opportunities which will come if you're a person fond of traveling. This is the job for you, because in a company which is kind of which is good and alive and happening, you'll get opportunities. You deal with big law in terms of law firms and solo practitioners. So yes, this happens. It's also a good job where you can build your profile, you can build relationships. So you could meet big lawyers. There was a situation where I was having a meeting with Dia Modi. There were other solo practitioners I met. So you get good chances where you can also have your good social connect. Uh, your understanding challenge each day. As technology and practices keep changing, also you need to be up to date with onshore as well as offshore law. So as I said, uh, it would not be that you're just responsible for India. You could be responsible for Australia, Europe, Latin America. So you need to be at least a person who understands what's going. You need not be an expert of the laws which are kind of coming up there, but you at least need to know that certain things are prohibited under GDPR. We cannot do it. Somebody's data cannot be taken and given to someone else under GDPR. So those kind of things need to be known, and you need to be always to. So basically, if you're a person who can take on things, new things every day, this could be the profession for you. You're working in a cross-cultural environment. So as I said, it's always challenging and it's always multifaceted when you're working in a multi-million dollar multinational corporation. And there are things outside your domain which you come to know, things about engineering, things about robotics, it could be AI. There are certain things which are coming up now about artificial intelligence, machine learning. So if you're a person who also enjoys different things other than legality and would like to know them, or would like to inculcate them in your knowledge of law and would like to use them, perhaps going ahead into use them to work in a domain which is specific to these things. Knowing these things will also help. So I guess yes, that's it. So we have reached the end of our presentation. I hope we are on time. I think we are on time. Yeah. So that's it. Right.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an amazing webinar. It was really very enlightening.
Thank you.
Sir, if you may permit, could we have a question answer session as we have received
Sure,
many
sure.
questions?
Yeah, no problem.
Yes, sir. Sir, so the first question is, sir, by the participant, what is the
Yes.
most complex legal situation faced by an in-house legal counsel?
Okay.
Generally.
So see, basically complex would also mean complex in terms of legality, and complex would also mean complex in terms of what is the matter you're trying to deal with. So in this situation, it could be complex. Could be for me one of the most complex things I faced was I had to in US you have something called as class actions. Now in India also you have started having those kind of cases where multiple causes are merged into one cause. So uh, there was a situation in the US where a product had failed, and many organizations had filed suits upon our organizations. There were individual people, there were corporate, there were law firms, and it really got into it became a big mess. So handling all those kind of things, and as you know, in the US there are multiple laws across various states. So 50 states have their independent own law, and thereafter there's a federal law which governs. So it became pretty complex, and the same thing, if I could say, handling customs related issues. So as a lawyer, we are not implicated with those kind of issues where customs issues come into play, where product comes into India and customs duties levied upon those. So all those issues are pretty important. So it's very difficult to single out, but as you move into your body of work, you'll get many situations where things get complex.
Sir, another question is, what areas of law one should focus in law school to work as in-house counsel?
Basically, law school prepares you for everything. So whatever you do in law school, if you're doing contracts, do it well. If you're doing IPC, do it well, because everything will be interconnected. End of the day, when you go into your profession, everything will come to play. If you have a criminal case, your IPC will come to play. If you have contracts, your contract act will come to play. So everything, your interpretation would depend upon jurisprudence, how much you know of it. So it's just a multifaceted role, but the only thing is, in my case, when we did not have a clear aim, because in-house things weren't there when we passed out in 2007. Things were a bit hazy. Only legal process outsourcing companies were there. So we had to start a bit, late, and we had to start a bit in a difficulty. But now, today, in 2021, things are very clear. You have opportunities. So I would just say do everything well. Whatever you do in 3 years or 5 years of law, do it well, and that would help tremendously.
So, third question, does litigation help in in-house counsel career?
It does, it does, but you need to be what you do with litigation is it will definitely help you, but then you don't want to be limited solely to a litigation profile. So also try to understand everything while you're doing litigation. Also try to understand how contracts work, what is the other kind of compliance that companies do. So when you're doing litigation, you could also do other things, preparing yourself for a corporate career. You could do several. You could perhaps take diplomas in cyber law. Many things you could do while you're litigating. So don't restrict yourself to one thing.
So last question. Can one jump from in-house counsel to litigation or from litigation to in-house counsel, or generally how it should be?
Yes, you can. I've seen several examples. It's less prominent, but it has happened before. You can do that, but it's not as simple as how we say it. It's difficult, but it has people to.
Thank you so much, sir, once
Thank
again
you.
for this actually nice webinar. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes. Thank you, Amol, sir. I mean, it was a very nice session. Definitely, it would have helped our students to learn new aspects of in-house counseling. Thank you very much. Hope to meet you sometime, maybe in the next week, sir. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Looking forward to it.
Over to you,
Over to you.
Himani, if you could propose a vote of thanks.
Yes, sure, ma'am. I'm thankful to have this opportunity to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of Honorable College, Kelly College of Law, Navi Mumbai. I extend my gratitude to Mr. Amol Gujar sir for taking time from his busy schedule to honor this session with such an interesting and informative session. We have learned a lot today, sir. Thank you so much. I would also like to extend my gratitude to the respected members of KLE management for their blessing. Dr. Prabhakar Gore sir, Chairman of KLE Society, Mr. Mahantesh Kawadki sir, Governing Body Chairman of KLE College of Law, Member of Legislative Council and Chief Whip of Government of Karnataka, Dr. J. M. Mallikarjuna sir, Principal of KLE Society, KLE College of Law, Bangalore, and the Director of KLE Law Academy, Bangalore. A big vote of thanks to our respected Principal Sir, Professor Dinkar Gipte Sir, for giving us this chance to be present in such wonderful session. My heartfelt gratitude to all my dear teachers for their constant support and guidance. Thank you for the whole webinar team for making this session a success. And last but not the least, to you, dear participant, for being the most important part of our webinar. Thank you once again. Thank you all.
With this, sir, we shall end the webinar. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Bye bye.